My name's David Lorimer, and I'm here with Gary Lachman to speak about the Beyond the Brain conference coming up in not too many weeks' time in November this year. And Gary's one of our speakers, and I'm going to ask him, how did he first become interested in consciousness beyond the brain? And then he's going to tell us a little bit about what he's going to talk about at the conference. So Gary, over to you.
Yes, thank you, David, for inviting me to speak at the conference. And how did I get interested? Well, it actually started many, many, many years ago when I was a musician living in New York in the mid 70s and playing in the then unknown band Blondie. And where I was living with Debbie Harry and Chris Stein, the guitarist, someone else in this loft space on the Bowery, he was very, very interested in the occult and Aleister Crowley in particular. And I had no interest in this at this point. My only interest in the occult and supernatural was sort of horror fiction or H.P. Lovecraft and horror films. But he was very, very interested in it, and he would do these impromptu tarot readings and things of that sort. And another even greater influence on me becoming interested in this sort of thing was one of the books I borrowed at that time was just a book just called The Occult, and it was by
I
Colin
know that one
Wilson.
well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Colin Wilson. And I hadn't read any of Wilson prior to this, so I didn't know that he had a whole career writing about existentialism. So I just started reading this book, and Sartre is mentioned in it, and Hesse and Nietzsche, and along with Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky and Gurdjieff and all of this. And it just was such a thrilling page turner, as simple as that. And I was 19 years old. I just said, yes, I want to know all about this. And it was around that time that I read another book called An Experiment with Time.
Yeah, I know that one as well.
And I started recording my dreams. And lo and behold, as J.W. Dunn said in that book, if you pay attention to your dreams, soon enough, you'll start to see that bits and pieces of your future turn up in your dreams. And that was happening. And then I also started having these shared dream experiences with my girlfriend at the time. And I even wound up writing a song about that. It's called "I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, Dear," and it became a big hit for Blondie. So very early on, I said, in my late teens, early 20s, I was having these experiences and reading about this sort of thing. And from that time until now, at some point along that journey, I stopped playing music, and it took me a long stretch of time, but about a decade after stop playing music, that I started writing book reviews and articles about this sort of thing, the Hermetic esoteric tradition. And that's what I'll be talking about, because one of the things I notice when there's conferences about consciousness, you have what I call the three S's, which is not exactly S, but phonetically they are. So you have the scientific approach, which includes philosophy of mind and neuroscience and that sort of thing. The spiritual, let's say more or less like meditation and Buddhism and things of that sort. And the psychedelic, which is PS, but still fits in this, and that's taking the mind altering drugs and so on. And all those are very worthy, avenues of exploration. But I always feel that this homegrown Western esoteric tradition, which is principally about consciousness, although it might not have called it that, they called it spirit or mind or something like that. But that often gets left out of the conversation. And I think, especially with some of the work that Ian McGilchrist has done about the differences between the two sides of the brain and the way he's understood and sort of described how the right brain engages with the world, I feel in many ways that the whole esoteric tradition is a kind of right brain body of knowledge that's been rejected. And the way that Ian says that the left brain has rejected most of the input from the right. So I'm going to sort of look at the Western esoteric tradition as a form of sort of rejected knowledge and a kind of a casualty in this sort of struggle between the two sides of the brain.
That sounds so interesting, Gary. Thank you so much. And we're really looking forward to hearing more about that at Beyond the Brain 2024.
My pleasure.